fruitage of two covenants is plain to see throughout history. And the fruitage of the Mosaic law, the old covenant, didn't achieve what Father wanted. He wanted righteousness and peace to dwell amongst his people, and it didn't work. And the fruitage of that covenant had to be ripped up. That covenant, and to be brought in with the better promises that were made through the new covenant. And the fruitage of the new covenant means that Christians don't go around killing each other physically, but that the fruitage of the new covenant is plain to see when it is when it works in its fullness. The fruitage is plain to see, and righteousness and peace does dwell among the believers in general. There was a little bit of backbiting here and there, which is nothing really compared to what the old covenant did. And this has been our stumbling block for generations and generations, where man's ideas have tried to keep everyone under the law, under the old covenant. And this is why mankind hasn't made the progress what it's supposed to have done. And the church had a great work to do after the first century, after the end of all things in the first century, when the new arrangement came in. But they didn't grasp it, and so in effect that from those generations onward, the fruitage should have multiplied and grown into the fullness, and there should have been a marvelous peaceful world amongst all Christians. And so it didn't work, because, and that is the fruitage of the old covenant law, because they kept people, or they've kept everyone under that old covenant law, when in fact they're set free from it. Everyone's being kept under that old covenant law. In other words, telling you that you're a sinner when you're not a sinner, and telling you wrath, condemnation, hell, and all those doctrines that haven't brought about the true love which is meant to be manifest in the earth. So it will go on and on until we finally get it, until mankind finally gets it. It'll just go on and on. But the new covenant is of better promises for the whole of mankind, for all to walk in and all to enter into. And surely all mankind has to grasp this opportunity, because there's nothing else that can bring peace on the earth apart from the promises of the new covenant, which were fulfilled in Christ, where he fulfilled all things of the old, so we can be set free and walk in the newness of all things, the new heaven and the new earth, symbolically speaking, spiritually speaking. And we are already in that newness, the new heaven and the new earth. And mankind has to realize this. They have to step out of the doctrines, the carnal, physical thinking of the old things, which have long gone. But it's such a struggle for mankind to set themselves free from the things that have already gone and to walk in the newness. And this is why a lot of people don't get it. This is why they stick with the doctrines of man, and so they keep seeking the knowledge of good and evil and never getting anywhere. And that fruitage of the Spirit isn't expanding in the way it should be within us, and many people are still wondering, this, that, and the other about themselves. Well, we all know what we have to do, but it's always all you hear is about me, me, me. Well, being a Christian isn't about me, me, me whatsoever. Being a Christian is about you, other people. And until you start walking in that, you will never get it. You will never understand the purpose of the new covenant, the purpose of the walk of faith, the purpose of what Christ has done for all time. And as long as you're concentrating on the me, me, me. So the fruitage of the Mosaic law and the fruitage of the new covenant is plain to see. When we walk in the fullness of the new covenant, in the fullness of love, it's plain to see which is beneficial. But even today, there are many who are still trying to bring others into law, and they do it by subtle casting of stones and judgment and wrath and hellfire and you're of the devil. This is all very subtle bubbling up of what's underneath their surface, and what's underneath their surface is wrath and judgment. It might have an outward appearance of peace and love, brother, but underneath there is bubbling the desire to judge, condemn, cast stones, because they haven't set themselves free from the old covenant. So the Lord is asking you, when will you finally get it and come out of it? When are we going to finally stop walking in our pride and our vanity to leave behind the old things which just keep circulating on the old hamster wheel, and where the hamster can't get off once it starts going so fast? It can't get off, and this is what's happening. When people are stuck in the old covenant promises and forgetting about the new covenant, the newness, the renewing of all things has taken place already. All we have to do is do it. Come out of the old and into the new. It's so simple. But because of the thirst and the vanity and the pride and the desire to seek the knowledge of good and evil, we cannot leave that old covenant alone. And it's really a stumbling block to you becoming the fullness of Christ within you. And only each person can realize that themselves, as the Lord is trying to lead you and teach you, prodding, just nudging and prodding you to say, come on, get out of that and come into this. There's no false teaching in it. There's no deception or delusion, or there's no doctrines of the devil in that whatsoever. But what I'm telling you, all things have been fulfilled already. You're just not getting it. You're not realizing it because you don't believe you're Messiah. You're believing your own vain imaginations and your own delusions and your own pride. You'd rather walk in that than accept what your own king has actually done already 2,000 years ago. And I'm so sad for many people in a way, and because I too was in that walk until I come to understand all things. And but all things will be shown to you, and you must grasp the opportunity when it is shown to you. Within, and your spirit within will testify all things that Christ said has come to pass. It is done, it is finished, it is complete. And when he said 2,000 years ago, it is at hand, it is near, he didn't mean it is near, but it'll be another couple of thousand years. No, it didn't mean that whatsoever. And so many people are missing out because they're still clinging on to that old ways, the old covenant. They're still clinging on to a bit of wrath and judgment, still hanging on to that old Mosaic law in some way or the other, psychologically or emotionally attached. And this is, you don't know what you do. This is because of the teachings of men, of other people, who bring wrath, condemnation and sin upon you and upon us when we're little children, and so it stays with you even the rest of your life. And so you'll never realize or come to see the beauty of the walk of faith in Christ. It's a beautiful journey. And forget about sackcloth and ashes and all that. The old things have gone away. The old things are done with once and for all 2,000 years ago. And I hope and pray that you get it bit by bit. And it's all been revealed, it's all been seen, and it's a beautiful journey, and it's a beautiful work what the Father's doing in everyone. And yeah, leave the old things behind, brothers and sisters. The fruitage of the Mosaic law is a stumbling block, to you, and the better promises, the new covenant is your contract signed, sealed, and delivered for eternity. Remember, the old Mosaic law was only a temporary thing until Christ. So once Christ came, everything's been done away with. Everything's been fulfilled already. And all things are in Christ right now. And how beautiful is that? What more does anybody want? Why are we still seeking the knowledge of good and evil when we already have Christ in the full understanding and knowledge of him, the fullness of our purpose, the fullness of our journey, the fullness of our walk and what we're supposed to do? It is done. So get on with it. Get over it and get on with it. Peace.